Okay, hello everybody and welcome to another Viva Mondo webinar. Today we are heading all the way to the Netherlands and we will be going all the way to Hanze UAS in Groningen, who will be able to discuss why you should study in the Netherlands and how you can find your perfect course. Today we have the wonderful Katja with us, who will be here to do your presentation. And as always, we always do ask and encourage you guys to ask the questions, and they are the centerpiece of the presentation, and we will get to those at the very end of the presentation. But for now, I'm going to hand you over to Katja.
Okay, yeah. Thank you very much, Stavrola. Thank you for such a nice introduction, energetic one. Unlike the weather here now in London and in the Netherlands. But again, we will be talking from the Netherlands, from the city called Groningen, or Groningen, which is maybe more known to some of you. And we will talk about how to choose your perfect course and to make your application successful at the Hanze University of Applied Sciences, Groningen. And I'm not alone today. With me today, my colleague, Anna. Anna, could you please say a couple of words about you and introduce yourself?
Yes, as Katja said, I'm Anna. I'm also a student at Hanze. I'm currently in my 4th year of international communication, and I'm also a Hanze honors student. But of course, I'm here as an ambassador today, representing my university and sharing my experience with you guys.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much. Well, in a couple of words about myself, my name is Ekaterina, or you can also call me Katya, and I'm an international account manager, or what's more relevant here, I'm an international study advisor. So what I do, I usually meet with a lot of international students from all over the world, and we talk about their future study programs. We help them to make a really great choice in that sense, because it's of course a big commitment. It's a lot to take in. So with all our experience together with Anna, with her first-hand experience as a student at Hanze, as like 4 years ago, so she was in your shoes, we are going to share a lot of tips and useful information. We will move on to the main part of the presentation. Buckle up, indeed. What we are going to cover today together with Anna, that is, will be get to know Hanze University of Applied Sciences. Of course, we will touch upon a couple of main things about our university. We will introduce a roadmap to Hanze for those of you who are considering applying in the Netherlands. We will also talk about choosing the right program for you, because we can imagine there are so many different programs and all kinds of universities all over the world, and it's quite difficult, might be, to make a right choice. So we will introduce a checklist, so the things that you need to do or prepare before you start your study abroad experience. We will let you experience Hanze. You will see how to actually get more information, a first-hand experience from different programs and student ambassadors to make sure that you make a right choice. And of course, we will share useful links for you how to stay in touch with us if you would like to learn more. Well, now having said that, I would like to add that we are not going to go into really nitty-gritty details about all the programs that we have to offer. Well, we can with Anna, but it will take like a couple of days, I think. So well, if you have so much energy, we will be more than happy to do that, but not for today, I think. Well, a lot of information, of course, is also available on the website. But this webinar also looking at the time that we are given, and also thinking how to provide for you the most relevant and useful information at the moment for those of you who might have never heard about us, or maybe just starting your orientation phase. So we built up our webinar in the in our eyes, it's the most relevant and informative way. Well, if you have any questions, of course, drop them in the chat session. Stavrola here, she will also help us to answer them at the end of the webinar. You can also rewatch it if you maybe still are wondering about some parts of it. Of course, you will rewatch it because recording will be available. And of course, we will always be there for you. We will share our contact information, so you can always reach out to us and ask any questions you would like to ask. Okay, moving on. We will talk about roadmap to Hanze, Anna prepared these fantastic visuals just to really visualize the whole process, because it can be quite challenging, especially if you come from far away from overseas and the Netherlands is so far away from you. And yeah, it's not that easy to come over and just to see how it all looks in real life. So we are imagining that now, since you are joining this webinar, perhaps you are like in the first phase of orientation. So you're just thinking what program, what university, probably what country, maybe the Netherlands, since you are also here, this webinar will be an option for you for your future study abroad experience. But there are more steps to that, of course. So orientation phase will be really important. You will narrow down some of the options. Then there will be an application phase. Then you will move on towards finalizing your enrollment at the university. And of course, you have to arrange quite a lot of practicalities before September, before the study starts. And in the end, you will be a student in Hanze. Well, spoiler alert, it's not the end of the road. Of course, it will continue, and we will show you also a little bit later how it will look like. But indeed, it's a puzzle, and there are a lot of parts of it has to have to come together, you know, to make it a perfect journey for you. So that's how we are planning to roll our webinar today. Of course, supporting the journey with real examples, with really good tips and first-hand student experience, and also tips probably from me as from study advisor, having talked to many international students from all over the world. And this information will be useful as for the bachelor students who are just probably finalizing their school, and also for the future master students who already probably finished their bachelors or about to finish one. Okay, moving on, we will start first things first. Just for those of you who have never probably heard about us, we are Hanze University of Applied Sciences. Who we are the oldest University of Applied Sciences in the Netherlands, and also the biggest part in the northern part of the country. Well, just a nota bene here, that's the keyword here is not sciences, well, but it's applied, meaning that of course we have programs as natural sciences, physics, chemistry, etc., that many of you might imagine looking at the name. But we are here at the university, we apply what we learn on practice. So that's the keyword. The applied is the keyword in the sense of the educational approach. In general, Hanze offers study programs almost in all study domains. We have own research centers, centers of expertise. We have mini Silicon Valley. We have a center, energy transition center. We have a lot of different facilities within the university. And in, essentially, it's a big comprehensive university with 30,000 students. 10% of the students are international, coming from around 115 countries. What is also very important, what's also in the name of the university, in applied part of it, that's the integrated internships, which means that our students, well, most of the bachelor students and some of the master programs, they cover like integrated work experience in their program. So you don't have to do it additionally, like in the summertime or outside of university after you graduate. Actually, our students already graduate with work experience. Normally, it's very extensive. Besides like the 5 months, 1 semester of real work experience, they can also do the graduation project related to an internship in the company. So it's quite important in terms of building up their professional portfolio and being actually quite a valuable asset for any company in the future. We are quite well-established university already. More than 2 centuries we exist, and we have collected a lot of experience and expertise in applied education. A couple of more words and impressions about the university. That's how our main campus looks like. Zernike campus, it's called. As you might see, it's quite big, green normally during the summer and spring, with modern buildings. We have swimming pool on campus. It's a lot to do just during the day besides your studies. Of course, we have like libraries, cafes, restaurants, shops. So you can also sport right on campus, meet with your classmates, develop your projects there. So it's a really nice place to be. It's located in the northern part of the city, but not all of our programs are located there. We also have several programs, like for example, mini Minerva Art Academy, and that will be in the city center of city called Groningen, where our students also study programs like design, fine art, etc. Same counts for Architectural Academy, also Prince Claus Conservatoire. We have a separate building, physiotherapy. So we have, well, university is quite big, a lot of students, so we do need a lot of facilities for that and different buildings, which makes Groningen actually the big campus for the students, I would say. So everywhere you go, you will see Hanze students. Okay, coming towards the portfolio that we just cover, just in a nutshell, we will not go into details a lot, but if you have questions later, of course, we will be happy to be more elaborative on that. So we cover all kinds of programs from art and music, so design, fine art, classical music, and jazz. We have quite an extensive business portfolio covering, of course, international business, facility management, finance, marketing management, communication, then engineering, of course, and programs related to health studies, such as physiotherapy and sports studies. Most of our programs are 4-year programs, and some of them are 3-year programs. That's what's about the bachelor. So quite an extensive portfolio, again, and besides the, well, core studies, say you will choose international business, we also offer different kind of minors. We haven't mentioned them there because there are a lot of them, but technically you can also choose one of the minors which slightly deviates from your core studies to also learn more and add more to your core studies. A couple of words that our students wanted to share with us before we prepare this webinar for you. That's Madalina, a student from Minerva Art Academy, and she will be studying illustration and animation, and that's what she has to say about Hanze and Minerva Art Academy. She names it as a playground for developing your talent and experiment, create your own artwork, whatever it might be. It's pretty much a student-based approach that we use at the Minerva Art Academy. So yeah, we will meet like-minded people and you have a chance to explore, experiment, and actually build your own student path over there. Coming back to those of you who are probably looking for master's programs as your future study abroad experience. So here we have a very similar actually portfolio to the bachelor's. Same, we have quite extensive business portfolio, communication, engineering programs, including a very interesting one like architecture and data science, renewable energy, very diverse. Also extensive portfolio in art and music. You can see we have masters in fine arts and design, masters in music, covering different directions that you might choose. Very specific ones. If you really want to know more, you can always drop us a message and to ask any questions you have about that. But in essence, our programs are mostly, well, actually they're from 1 year to 4 years. Well, for example, Master of Science and Business Studies is only 1 year program. And then we have programs of 1.5 years, so 3 semesters. And then we'll have a program of 2 years. And a Master of Architecture will be covering 4 years of your life. So brace yourself, that will be a really long journey. Yeah, and we have also a student, Svetina, who would like to also share her experience with one of our masters. That will be a Master in International Communication program. Svetina has already graduated, and she really appreciated her experience as a master student at Hanze because she got to work on real projects with real clients, meaning that you really have companies coming over to university and working with students, sharing their concerns and the challenges with the students, expecting our students using their knowledge and expertise to come up with certain recommendation solutions for these companies. And companies are also, of course, of different domains. It can be from engineering, could be from like Philips or Bosch or Hugo Boss, etc. So all kinds of companies come over to Hanze to work with students to actually harvest their ideas, of course. And it's a really great opportunity also for our master students to get really extensive professional network, and in the future also apply for the jobs at these companies that they worked for as students. Okay, moving on, we have a real roadmap for you, covering a lot of different things. Of course, again, you are like now in the orientation phase, but then there will be a phase of application, finalizing your enrollment, again, practicalities, and then finally being a student at Hanze. So quite a lot of things to take over. Anna, could you maybe please take over here from me to actually, share how it was for you also, and what you recommend our students, our prospective students, to look into?
Yeah, for sure. As Katja mentioned, we have this beautiful roadmap that basically is meant to help you visualize your own process. So we also prepared a bit of a checklist. Like now in the orientation phase, you're probably already looking into possibilities. You are here, so you're visiting a webinar, you probably visited fairs. You're probably still going to do that for a while. And then, it's going to be the time when you have to narrow down the options, think about which universities you want to go to, which cities you want to go to, and then you're going to start preparing for your application because you're already going to have a good idea of 3 to 5 universities that you actually want to apply to. Maybe even less, I don't know, if you're very sure of yourself. And of course, after that comes the application, you're going to finalize your enrollment. And then we also prepared like a small checklist of things that you'll need to think about doing sometime next year in April, March, somewhere around then, such as looking for accommodation, applying for visa, joining the preparation webinars. We always have this, so I really recommend looking into it if you want to join us. And also, of course, I think keeping an eye on your email, because we always update with everything that you need to do. So we like to make sure that you know all the right steps and you don't have any struggles on your way there. Okay. I also would like to share my experience with the roadmap, my own roadmap. Katja, could you change the slide? Oh, nice. Great. So for me, in the orientation phase, of course, I went to a lot of educational fairs, and for me, it started years ago. Like before actually applying, I was looking for 4 years already. So I kind of already knew that I liked Netherlands as a study destination, and I already knew about Groningen as a city. Of course, I attended some webinars, some online events, and for me, it became very clear that I'm more aligned with Hanze. But that's also how I decided to follow Hanze on the social media, because they have all the latest updates, very nice tips and tricks, and also a lot of students sharing their experience. And of course, one important aspect is actually reaching out to them, because I also was in contact with current students, with student ambassadors, actual students who aren't ambassadors, and that really helped me gain an idea of how the life will look like with Hanze. And then, application phase was, I actually applied as soon as the platform opened. So I didn't have to think about much, and I already got this out of the way. So I just opened an account, I applied, and then, I waited for a response from the university to see what the following steps are. So my advice for this is actually to just do it already. If you're sure of applying to Hanze, just apply, or of other universities as well. And then I just waited indeed for the emails, and it made everything a bit simpler. Finalizing my enrollment and the practicalities before September. I guess here it's more about just keeping an eye on the emails, knowing what information you have to give them, like uploading the final documents on Osiris, making sure you have access to your student account, because you already get access via email as well. And basically looking for accommodation, because that's very important, even to start looking very early. And for this, like my tip, as part of the roadmap that I also kept in mind, is that the housing situation isn't very good right now. Like it's harder to find something, but also it's not impossible if you start looking early. So I would say be prepared to have your decision made by March, April, so you already can start looking for accommodation in time, and you don't have much to worry about once you're at the university in September. And yeah, then just start planning your move abroad, because once you have all of that out of the way, the fun part starts. You just get ready to move abroad and ready for your experience. Okay.
Yeah. I was just wondering, because of course it was your final year, Anna, when you were like already orientating about Hanze, how did you like combine like the like final exams, you know, preparations? Do you have really super skills and time management, like prioritizing things, you know? I think that's quite important because a lot of students like now currently at school, they're like final year of the school or final year of the bachelor. So it's a lot to take in besides application and preparing everything.
Yeah.
And you need still to like graduate ideally. So how did it work for you?
For me, indeed, it's all about planning everything at the beginning of the academic year. So in September, October, I already had my answer for my, well, for international communication, because it doesn't require anything special, like
Yeah.
extra interviews or
Yeah,
anything.
exactly.
For that, I already had my answer in October.
Mhm.
So I didn't have to think about whether I would need to do anything else much until later on when I had to finalize my enrollment. Once I graduated from high school, with just uploading the diploma, and I think that made it easier to manage the last part of the academic year where you study a
Yeah.
bit more and take the exams, because basically if you get everything out of the way until February, March, then you focus on your studies.
Yeah.
And once you graduate, you already have only to upload your diploma from the high
Yeah.
school,
Yeah.
and then your final exam if you take a baccalaureate or something
Mhm.
similar.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
that's true. So your advice would be to apply it as soon as possible, as you don't need many
yeah, yeah.
documents for that. So we will cover that a little bit later. It's like, yeah, in a couple of moments. Yeah, that's, I think I would agree on that completely. Moving on, I think you have some more things to share about before
Yes.
applying to the university.
Yes, of course. So before actually applying to university, there's the whole big question of what do I want to do with my life? Where am I going? What do I apply to? Because it's a bit indeed tricky. And for that, I really recommend, just taking your time to research, to reflect on what you need, and make sure that you make the best choice for yourself. And for that, I prepared a few questions that I think will help. Yeah, I will start with the first ones. What interests do you have? And what are you good at? And what are your hobbies? This is very important, and I will just like give you an example from my part, because I think that helps you also picture something for yourself. For example, I was interested in high school in event planning. I always liked looking at ads and everything, so a bit of that. I had like some of my hobbies were art and also writing. So I was in a bit of social media actually. Right now I'm not too much into social media, but I used to be into Twitter, Instagram. So for me, communication was the area that I was heading towards. I also did some internships in PR, event management during my high school. So it was just clear that's the zone that I wanted to study in. So that's kind of how you need to reflect on what interests do you have to see how they fit with a program that you're looking for. Then I think another question you should ask yourself is what study or learning approach is suitable for you. And this is important because there's two types of universities. There's research universities and there's universities of applied sciences. So in research university, the work is a bit more individual, while in applied sciences, you're more likely going to work in a group, and then, it's working together or working individually. In applied sciences, you get a bit more coaching, you work with clients. In a research university, it's more about actual research, about a lot of literature reviewing. So I think like this big difference will also make an impact of how you will study the specific program. And for me, when looking into that for international communication, it just made sense because I'm someone, indeed, I like I'm very individual, but also I know that I need to work as part of a group, because in the future, I see myself working at a company, in an organization, in a team of professionals. So then it didn't make sense for me to go into research. Like that wasn't the best learning approach for me. And then, of course, a third question is, what do you see yourself doing after university? And as I mentioned, you may see yourself working in a company, you may see yourself, I don't know, teaching, going into research. So for that, it depends. Like if you would like to be a teacher, for example, or a researcher, of course, you're going to look into universities of research. But if you want to work in a company, in an organization, or I don't know, become an entrepreneur, then maybe Applied Sciences University is the better choice for you. And also here, it depends on the program that you'll be studying, because for example, for medicine, you probably won't go to applied sciences because they offer applied things in research as well. But indeed, for marketing, business, communication, if you want to be out there to do things, to work after you graduate, then I think it's just the right choice to go into applied sciences. And yeah, these are my tips for you. I would really say that you need to take the time to reflect on these things, and also remember that it is your choice and for your future. And I'm saying that because you will get a lot of input from study counselors, from parents, and it's very nice to listen to their opinions as well, take them into account, see how they match with what you believe in, and then of course make the choice based on what you think is best. Yeah, this is my what I had as tips for you guys.
I always like when you share that with the prospective students, because I think it's such a valuable information, because also a lot of students are under so much pressure, indeed, of peer pressure, that all your classmates go to certain university, that I should also do that, or yeah, but is it really like, ask yourself this question? Critical thinking is so important, and of course we will like train you more on that at Hanze. We are all about asking right questions and finding the optimal solutions, but it's your choice, indeed your future. Some things might change, during the university studies. You will realize that, oh, okay, I study, for example, marketing management, that actually like I would also like to obtain more knowledge in like IT, which will be also possible. So you will get it, like the whole scope, the whole like other like opportunities, you will also get it at the university. But main things, indeed, the approach to the studies, which one you prefer, which one is more like suitable for you as a person, and things like, yeah, how do you see your future? Just do desk research. It will not take so much time. I mean, it might, of course, but please invest in that. I think that's such a valuable advice, Anna. Thank you so much. It's very super handy for prospective students. Okay, and we have a couple of more words we got from our current students. Anna interviewed Peter just a couple of weeks ago. Peter just joined us from South Africa. He's initially Taiwanese, has been living in South Africa. Now he's studying physiotherapy program at the Hanze. You can also study physiotherapy, of course, with us. And Peter, well, speaking about desk research, I think he did quite an extensive one, because like there are many programs in physiotherapy, but yet he opted for one at the Hanze. And being a student from outside of European Union, well, he says that indeed it's a lengthier process in terms of like application and admission and enrollment. And here I have my cat also joining a webinar. Sorry for that, but he always likes to to contribute as well. Yeah, so we were really happy to hear that Peter, well, considered the process actually quite pleasant, yet lengthy, because it looked to him that, everybody who he talked to, who he reached out, were really trying to care about students and offer as much help and advice and tips as possible. Yeah, moving on, we're still talking about like a phase of orientation at the moment. Now my cat is pulling my microphone, but that's okay. Okay. What else besides like self-reflection that you have to go into? We also recommend to see what the actual study has to offer in terms of like culture of education, study programs, the content of actual programs, ECTS, which I assume you also know about, European credits, schedule, exams, if that will also fit you, and what actually program expects from you, because yeah, you need to prepare also for that. And of course, very important is to see the city where you will be actually living. It's a lot of things happening also besides the university. You also have to find friends and maybe go to all kind of events, travel, actually have a normal life outside of your studies. So also look into that. And we are also happy to share what's going to happen in Groningen for the future students. Couple of words about the educational approach, and I think this pretty much matches with what Anna already had to share with us. What you should expect from Hanze. Then later we will also talk about what Hanze will expect from you. But of course, don't maybe look into study abroad experience as like a magical pill. You know that you will just complete all the things you need to complete, apply for all the programs, arrange your visa, accommodation, things like that, and then everything will be only like rainbows and butterflies. Well, yeah, a lot of things will be like that, but it's also a big step out of your comfort zone. Of course, you will be in a foreign environment with like people around you from different countries, expecting from you different things perhaps that you are used to in your own country and at your school or university. Besides that, working in international project groups, it's of course an essence of our educational approach. You need to be also prepared for that, because from day one, we will be dividing you into smaller groups, giving you different assignments, so you can also practice different roles. But besides that, at Hanze, we are really treating our students as young professionals from day one. So we are really curious about your input, your contribution towards the program, what you have to bring to the table, what is your motivation, you know, your ideas. So prepare to open your mouth and to express your opinion, to join the discussions, you know, prepare your arguments really well. That will be highly appreciated at the university. Anna already mentioned also that we are also offering coaching for our students, and that can be in a form of lectures. So of course you will have a lot of different teachers with different backgrounds who will be also there to answer your questions and to guide you towards a certain direction. Besides that, you will also get an academic advisor, so someone who will also be there for you to answer your questions about your study progress, to reflect on yourself maybe better, to see which areas you still need to probably work on, you know, some areas for development, or things that you're already fantastic at and you maybe want to invest in this, your strengths and talents even more. Okay, moving on. Anna, I think that's your part, because I don't know much about
Yeah.
marketing and online branding. So I think that that's your part.
Yeah. Well, as Katya said, we have um, the study approach is combining theory and skills, and that's what you will mainly be doing each block for most of the programs that you are offered here. And I'm going to give you an example from my program, International Communication. For my first year, we had this block about marketing and online branding. And for that, we had theory. So we learned about the marketing and online communication, a bit of intercultural communication, because that's a big aspect of the program itself as well. But it's actually found in most of our programs because it's such an important skill to have. And of course, research theory, because research is also something very important. Although it's a University of Applied Science, it has just as much theory and research. But we also have other skills classes, such as actual skills, so online writing, interviewing, copywriting, social media planning. These are just some examples from the block itself, but also tools. For example, you learn how to use Adobe Photoshop, Lightroom skills, or you get camera training, media theory, you know, compositions, and so and so that is, and all of that. And of course, you do that for fun assignments, so it's also something nice on the side. For example, for this specific block, we actually had to use Photoshop and Lightroom to make memes. And one of those is there. As an international student in the Netherlands, the main challenge isn't the cultural difference, but the height difference, because they are taller. Yeah. But indeed, it's a nice combination of actual literature and research and developing your skills. And on the next slide, what it amounts to is an actual project on the side. So you get all of that, and you also have a project to work on in groups with your, I guess, your peers. And usually there's 3 to 5 people in the group. But together you do your theory, you do your research, you use theory, you apply it, you meet up with clients, you get to understand the problem that they have, you design a concept or a campaign or whatever the block currently requires you to do as an objective. And for example, this was my client in the second year when we had campaign planning. Sorry. It's North Sea region with the project called ReFrame, and we needed to come up with a campaign for the international students in Groningen to purchase food that is local, sustainable. And this is what our group came up with in terms of visual, but also we had to create an awareness strategy, And that actually took 2 semesters, but it was a very nice project. It was a nice client to work with, a very international project as well. So very nice experience overall.
Yeah, well, that looks fantastic. Like a real company approached you and like you could deliver like certain solution for them already.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, yeah. I mean, that's how you learn. And of course, upon graduation, you know, and when you start like working already in a professional field, it will not be a surprise for you. Okay, yeah, sure, whatever, you know, like
Yeah,
campaign
exactly.
strategy. Yeah, I'm here for you. I'm ready for for this challenge. But that's of course mainly the international communication program that is also offered at the Hanze. Of course, we have like marketing management or international business, technical programs, but they all will have a similar structure. So that will be a combination of like theory, which is indeed, as Anna said, like as much important as like practical skills, but also soft skills, you know, like skills to work in the team, skills to make presentations, well, and all the other skills that you might need for the professional field, as well as things like in terms of like tools and various other abilities that you will need. So it's a healthy combination. And I think having said that, we can move on to the schedule. So maybe Anna, you can explain us a little bit more how the schedule works usually at the university.
Yeah. Usually it depends on how the program organizes itself, but it's updated at least like a few days before the block starts. So don't panic if you're going to be a student and you're not going to see your schedule there a month ahead. It's going to be there before you start your studies. But usually for classes, you have at least one of the days free. This is a weekly schedule right now from IC, the first year. And as you can see, there are 2 lectures, there are some project slots, but those don't always apply to everyone. You will probably only have one project session. You have some general lectures, you have tools classes, you have skills classes, and of course some seminars during which you can ask teachers about any questions that you may have throughout the week. This is kind of how it works for the weekly. And for the monthly, you can see that every month you kind of have this, every week you kind of have the same schedule. It may change a bit at times, but in terms of workload, it isn't that much. It's mostly going to be 2 or 3 lectures maximum. Sometimes it's even 1 per week. And then the seminars, they all amount to maybe 8 hours, not 10 hours. It depends on the block as well and how much coaching you would need for the assignment themselves. But again, you can actually get one day off for these. And it's very nice because you can get some time for yourself to reflect on what you did, to, relax and prepare for the next week.
Yeah, I think that we also what we look into it's also mental health of our students, and to have, of course, we know that we do really have to work hard because at the Hanze we have exams 4 times per year, so at the end of each study block. But yeah, to be able to work hard, you also need to relax and to have free time and to really have some distance from your studies. So for that we have also the weekend is off, so students don't study during the weekend. And but on the other hand, what is not included here is also your meetings with the project groups, which you also assign yourself. And sometimes when it's like busy period and the deadline is approaching, it might be every day. So besides your studies in the morning or afternoon, you also like have extra meetings, which is not in this schedule, but it is in your Outlook agenda. So you could find it there together with your classmates. So just to estimate like amount of workload is usually like 40 hours per week, I would say. Anyways, it's not less than that. And a lot of that, of course, will be also your self-study or preparation. So things like that. But it's very diverse, like it's and lectures and practical classes and things like that. Okay, and talking about like free time, we are also moving towards the city where the university is located. Well, the main faculties, most of the faculties of the university are located. That's Groningen or Groningen. Well, prepare to be able to pronounce it like Groningen in the Dutch way. Well, the city will, for many years already, it's being known as the best student city in the Netherlands. And why? Because it's not only the youngest city in the Netherlands, because out of 240 inhabitants, 1,000 inhabitants, we have 60,000 students, which makes it this really real student city, a city of talent, where you will always be running into like-minded people. You know, no matter what you do, yoga class, you know, you're sitting in a library, you're going to a pub, you're doing, you're visiting a museum, you know, or having a lunch in the restaurant. It will be always students around you, or teachers, or expats, well, professionals working in the city. It's a very beautiful city located in the northern part of the Netherlands. Well, the country is not that big by itself, so from Amsterdam it will take you approximately 2 hours to come by train, maybe sometimes longer if we have like some delays with the trains. We are not far from the German border. Well, in Netherlands, now, actually everything is quite close to the German border, because again, the country is not that big. But coming back to Groningen, it's the best student city, very highly ranked in terms of safety, which is also very important. Sport facilities, quality of water and air. It's really pleasant place to be, not only for studies, but also for life, actually. And of course, it's full of art, history, and culture. For those of you who are particularly interested in that aspects, in these aspects, or our art and music students, you'll always be challenged and stimulated by various exhibitions, concerts, festivals, and other things that you might attend as a student. And I know that Anna has collected a couple of impressions of our beautiful city. You could see that it's typical Dutch city with a really like ginger cookie city center with beautiful historical buildings and canals where you can just walk and, you know, enjoy the view. Well, maybe creating some nice Instagram feed as well, because it's always like very Instagrammable, I would say. Yeah, we have different kind of markets in the city center where you can also buy also fresh food and other things. Beautiful tulip fields. Besides like medieval and historical buildings, we actually have quite nice modern buildings as well in the city. It's very modern. It's like healthy combination of history and modern history, I would say. They coincide in Groningen. And of course, speaking about free time, it's fantastic to have a lovely picnic, you know, with your classmates somewhere, or to study, even to discuss a project like that. Now, nothing will prevent you from doing this. Only the weather, probably. But yeah, well, I mean, sports in Groningen are also quite well known. We have like around 60 various sport activities, including underwater hockey. Still, I haven't tried it. Maybe, I don't know, maybe next year. Still don't dare to do it. Paragliding, esports, of course, and all kind of usual sports like Zumba, I don't know, well, canoeing, I don't know, everything. You can find it here. You can practice your own sports, or you can actually explore something new. And the subscription for students is quite well affordable, 60 euro per year. So that's quite nice, and a lot of students do really practice sport, and it's also a great way to meet new people, obviously. A couple of words about living expenses, because that's also you take in with you together for the study choice, because besides the tuition fees, which are for European students around 1,000 euro for the first year and 2,000 euro for each consequent year, for non-European students it's 8,000 euro per year. You also need to calculate in the expenses that you need to have per month to live off in the Netherlands as a student. And here we estimated, you know, approximately from 900 euro you will have a budget, you know, depending how much you like to spend on shopping. But essentially that should be sufficient for you to live off. In the Netherlands, of course, students are also allowed to have part-time jobs to cover partially their expenses, but we don't recommend to do it right away from the day one. Yeah, a couple of slides about application, because we are moving towards like application phase in your roadmap. Practicalities and preparing the documents. I see that we don't have too much time left, and it's quite a detailed slide, so we don't expect you to remember everything by heart. Again, you can rewatch the webinar or ask us any details, because different programs might have different application requirements or deadlines. You just need to double check that. But what I'm trying to say actually, and what Anna already mentioned, that application as itself, it's not that complicated. So you, for the most of the programs, you just submit some documents like predicted grade list. You don't even need to have English test result for the application. You occasionally need it later for enrollment, but from the very beginning, you can just apply for with the minimum of your documents to get a preliminary feedback, provisional acceptance. I hope it will be a letter of acceptance. And there is a StudyLink website where all the students who would like to study in the Netherlands submit their applications. Of course, we have programs you already probably remember, like art, design, music, etc. For those, we will need extra requirements such as portfolio, audition, personality test, perhaps anything like that. But that again will be available on the website, so you can just look into this. So in essence, you will need predicted grades, transcripts, like the most recent grade lists from your high school or from the bachelor's program, letter of motivation and CV. And for the letter of motivation, please reflect, come back to the slides before when Anna was asking you these questions, who you want to be and how actually a program that you're applying at will help you to be where you want to be. Copy of international passport, that's also important so we can verify your personality. And IELTS, yeah, occasionally later, not necessarily right away. Deadlines can be also different, so just keep an eye on that. And in the future also, if you haven't made up your mind, or actually you can apply for several programs, up to 4 programs you can apply. Say you're really interested in business, and you can apply for all business programs and just to see which one will suit you better in the future. And to understand that, we prepared also all kind of touch points for you, including open days, online, offline, possibilities to chat with the current students, campus tours. If open day dates are not suitable for you, you can just book a designated campus tour and we will arrange it for you, introduce you to the campus, to the city, students, etc. A taster session, some programs also offer that. So you can just actually taste, like to get a taste of the program if it's something that you expect it to be. Visit educational fairs. You can also like browse which countries we will attend physically. I can tell you already, for those of you who are in Portugal, you are having a chance to meet Anna in person in Portugal next week in Lisbon and Porto. Myself, I will be on Cyprus, so if there are some students in Cyprus, so you are welcome to join our fair in Limassol. Besides that, we have actually quite an extensive study choice department, and there you can get a consultation about different programs if you want to start bachelor's, master's, and all kind of other things. You can also submit your questions through our Instagram on Q&A Friday. We have that. So, well, actually, I think we cover everything. I don't know. We are also on TikTok. So, I mean, whatever you prefer, whatever way you prefer to be approached, just I think we are there on this platform as well. We try to approach that in an omnichannel way. So make sure that you know how to find it and where to get needed information. Couple of words about finalizing your enrollment. Again, it's really far away from now. Still, like we are very in the very beginning. Just keep in mind that you will have a couple of more steps to finalize before you actually enroll and prepare to be a student, such as finalizing your enrollment, uploading your school diploma, bachelor's diploma, IELTS test, providing payment details to pay the tuition fee, visa application for the non-European students. It's very important. It's an extra process. Check living expenses, accommodation, as Anna also recommended, start searching really as soon as possible. In the Netherlands, it's quite a big problem at the moment. Again, not impossible, just very lengthy and requiring some of your attention there. I think that's what you need to know by now for like finalizing your enrollment. We have a special online platform where you upload your documents. Don't send it to us by post. We don't need the hard copies. We only need your certified online, like scanned documents. That will be enough to verify your grade lists and diplomas and transcripts, etc., etc. And IELTS also, like with like certain code, it's enough. I think that was almost it for now. I like this roadmap and the road itself, like highway, I would say it's more. Or serpentine, I don't know, depends on what kind of student you are. But again, the application and admission is very important. But don't forget that after you actually enroll and start your studies, the main story will start there. So kind of brace yourself for that. Make sure that you know enough about the program and what it has to offer. Because there will be also a first exams weeks, super exciting project deadlines, minor study abroad, exchange, graduation, internship, a lot of things like are waiting for you in the future. And to conclude, again, stay in touch with us through various social media channels. We here also prepared the QR code for you. Chat with us, send us an email, whatever you prefer, browse the website. We will try our best to answer as soon as possible and to provide you with the most relevant and helpful information for your study choice. Well, I think that was it from us. I felt like we were like in a very high pace. We both speak quite fast.
It was great. Thank you so much. And actually, you got a lot of information out there, so a lot of students will be able to go back on this in the recording as well. We have a few questions here. Can I begin the questions? Are you ready for that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so hello, there's someone asking, how can I study here, and are there any application deadlines coming up?
Yeah, we just covered that extensively during the webinar.
Any requirements for English?
Yeah, English for the bachelor, IELTS, for example, or equivalent of IELTS and TOEFL or Cambridge. And IELTS, the band score should be 6.0 with no subscore below 5.5. For the masters, it's 6.5 with no subscore below 6.0. So pretty much standard, I would say, requirements.
Okay, and can I study and work there? How many hours can I do?
Yeah, it's possible. And I would say most of our students, indeed, they study and work. We have quite a lot of part-time jobs opportunities in Groningen, such as like Horeca, of course, or food delivery, something that will not interfere with your studies, maybe not right away from the first day of the university, maybe from like second block, second semester, give yourself some time, but there are plenty of opportunities to do that.
Awesome. Next question. Can I gain an internship alongside my degree?
Absolutely. Yeah, for the bachelor's programs, for the most of them, that's the integrated part. So during the third year of your studies, you will have to do an internship. You'll have to gain this work experience to actually collect European credits to be able to graduate later. For the master's, it's not obligatory, but you can combine your final semester like thesis with an internship, which is normally is happening actually.
Awesome. And do you have to find them yourselves? Do you get any help from the
You get
university?
help. Yeah, well, in the Netherlands, that's such an approach that you have to arrange things by yourself. You have to be responsible for your own study progress. We do help in the sense that we have classes helping you with the motivational letter, with the cover letter, I mean, for applying for different positions. We will also introduce you to some network that our university and teachers have, but that's up to you, and that's the cool part. There is no limit. You can go for internship in Singapore, in South Korea, in the United States. Like, we don't have any limits over there. As long as the internship is connected to your study topic, that will be fine.
Awesome. And I think this next one's for Anna. How would you describe your experience living in the Netherlands, particularly with the cost of living?
Cost of living, okay. Well, it's actually a bit more accessible than going to UK, US, and abroad in general, like in other countries. I would say it still requires quite a bit of budgeting to do, but I feel like once you are here, it's easier to make it efficient for yourself, to tweak the budget, and you find your own ways around with grocery shopping from specific places. Yeah, I would say it's easy to accommodate for sure. You just need to, balance the time you spend doing that with your studies, with other things like all the fun activities as well. So yeah, it's a matter of just, doing it and actually paying attention to what you're doing, so you slowly accommodate yourself better. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good advice, I think, for anyone, any stage.
For us as well, yeah.
I'll take that on board, definitely. And the next question, I think you've touched on accommodation, but I think this person's wondering, if you're saying there is a bit of a shortage of accommodation over there, is there anything you can advise? Does the university have any campus housing?
Yeah, well, that would be for the non-European students, so students joining us from overseas, they would have an opportunity to book an accommodation provided by the university, by our partner. They would have a priority because, of course, they are from overseas, so we try to help them, to book that. Though that's still kind of not so many rooms available, so we would recommend to make up your choice as soon as possible and immediately book something in the end of April when the application will be available. available. For European students, we also have limited amount of rooms, well, remaining from those not being booked by non-European students. So, but European students initially have to like think and start searching also for themselves. We don't have like dormitories like in the most universities, like maybe in UK, you know, in the Netherlands, it's not such a like approach. So students live in the student houses around the city, and this accommodation they can find through different kind of like websites, Facebook groups. We also have a list of those on the website. So just go check and start searching, yeah, for the option that is most suitable for you.
Yeah, naturally. Okay, so we are going to move on to extracurricular activities. So how many extracurricular activities can I do? And is there a list of clubs that we can join?
Good question.
I feel like there's so many
yeah.
of them that you can do.
Yeah.
Of course, what I chose to do is being an ambassador and also being an honor student. So I have these two things that I'm juggling. But other people are actually like in other associations, or there's like specific ambassador teams for the program itself. You can be someone who is mentoring students in who are in the first year, so you can be a buddy. You can be anything, and I feel like what is nice about Hanze is you can even start your own foundation. We had some people starting Be More Foundation, and they prepared courses about mental health, about becoming a professional for other students. So opportunities are endless. It's all about what you are willing to do to, you know, get what you need.
I noticed that also a lot of students try to do volunteer activities, which is actually quite a nice integration into the Dutch society, because in the Netherlands it's quite common to do some extra like volunteer, like just to volunteer different organizations. And here I'm not necessarily talking about like charity organizations, you know, or church related or things like that. It can be anything, helping in the big events, like we have those a lot in Groningen. So we always need extra hands. And then obviously you will not be paid maybe, but you will gain nice like contacts, you know, you will learn new people. We have a big organization, well, UNICEF here, and a lot of students also volunteer there, working in the PR committee and providing all kind of information and organizing events also. So that would be an option as well.
Oh, that's really, really interesting. And I do have someone asking for questions about scholarships here. Do you offer any scholarships, particularly for even Indonesian students?
Yeah, well, that's nice. I will be in Indonesia in November, so hopefully, Silviana, we will see each other there as well. Well, we have quite a limited amount of scholarships offered to bachelor students. So the most amount of the scholarships go to master students, and there will be from like 5 to 10,000 euro. Some of those to net, they're fully covered then. So there are multiple options. You need just to look to see which one will be available. They are all selection based, so we don't give like out scholarships to everyone who apply. We will check your grades, we will check your motivation, you know, and many other things. Sometimes it can be a motivational video or any other things that the program might want to see from you. But initially, yeah, technically we do recommend to just look into this and apply as well. Yeah.
Awesome. And we have a last question, particularly about mental health. So could you let us know if you have any mental health services on campus?
Yeah. Anna, could you please share about that more?
Yeah, actually we do. We have Hanze student support, but also academic advisors and counselors. So you have a lot of people that you can reach out to. Of course, if you don't know where to start, you can also reach out to your actual teacher, tell them about your situation. They will always advise you where to go. But I think what is nice is we have this Hanze student support team. They prepared things that you can do, you know, starting with yourself if you don't want to go to someone. But we also have actual academic consultants and student support, employees that are helping you. So everyone is there for you always. You can meet up with them, you can gain advice, you can gain just someone to talk to if that's what you need. So there's a lot of facilities for that. Yeah.
That's great. That's brilliant to hear. Well, listen, thank you guys so much for your time today. Thank you for the presentation. Thank you guys for your questions. They've been really helpful. I'm sure they will be living on for a while for other people to see as well via Facebook and our YouTube channel. But please do send in any more questions if you do have any, and Hans will be in touch with you within the next coming days to reach out and see if you need any other help. But for now, I'm going to say goodbye, and any last words from you?
Well, yeah, I would also like to thank and you, Stavroula, and our, of course, guest who joined us today and asked questions. It's really important for us to be there for you and to, yeah, it was really well arranged webinar, and we are looking forward to meet our prospective students also in person in Groningen soon. So yeah, thank you very much for having us.
All right, have a great day wherever you are, everybody. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.